It's safe to say that the mind-boggling German multilingual series on Netflix titled 1899 left everyone equally speechless. Hey there guys, what's happening and welcome back. For all those who are still figuring out what they just witnessed, then here is the 1899 ending explained. Does Maura find out the truth? Netflix's 1899. Warning, this video contains major spoilers if you haven't watched the show or are planning to watch the show, so watch at your own risk. The German multilingual drama depicts the journey of the passengers of a ship who are traveling to New York. However, as the story goes on, many strange occurrences of the past and the present are revealed. The ship carrying passengers from Europe to America is called Kerberos. Even though the ship is traveling from Europe, the passengers on the ship belong to different cultures. However, the center of the story is a British woman whose name is Maura Franklin. Maura is an unconventional woman who's a medical expert and has closely studied the human brain. Of course, we're not here to tell you the whole story or the details of every character. That's something you're all already familiar with, so without wasting any more time, let's dissect the ending of the show. But before we go any further, make sure that you give this video a huge thumbs up, subscribe to our channel, and hit that notification bell to get more video updates like this going forward. Now let's continue. The conversation between Henry and Elliot. Henry, who is the primary villain in the show, reveals to the young boy Elliot that his mother Maura hasn't been telling him the whole truth. He says to him that he can show him the untold truth. That's when he takes Elliot to a mental institution. As most of you must have guessed at the first glimpse, yes, it's the same asylum that we've seen in the memories of Maura. He makes Elliot sit on a chair and then proceeds to inject him with what appears to be a black liquid. The effect of the liquid is that Elliot starts to see a memory in which Maura is injecting him with this black liquid while Daniel begs her to stop. Then, he makes a shocking revelation to Elliot and tells him that he was dying and Maura and Daniel didn't want it to happen, so they induced the simulation so they could never be separated. However, Elliot doesn't believe a word he says. How did the passengers react? When all the passengers find themselves in the archive, Maura tries to convince the remaining passengers, including Virginia, Lingy, Ake, Ramiro, Clemens, and Tova, that they're all in an artificially created simulation. However, none of them take her word, so they decide to go their own way. They think that the best way to get rid of every strange occurrence is just leaving the ship altogether. They abandon Maura and Ake to find their way out, but end up getting lost. What's Henry's main motive? Why is Henry doing all of this? The simple answer to the question is that the key and the person who has this key is Maura. As depicted in the show, Daniel finds out that Maura had the key on herself the whole time and asks her to keep it safe, but Henry uses Elliot as bait to get it back so that he can get out of the simulation himself. So for this purpose, he used Franz. He sends him to fetch the key from Maura for himself. In his attempt to do so, Franz kills Ake with the same device that's carried by Daniel everywhere. After committing this heinous crime, he returns to Henry with both Maura and the key. How does Daniel manage to turn the situation? Turns out, Daniel figures out a way to get into the mainframe that controls the whole simulation. Once he gets into it, he starts to alter the code in it. In the process of the alteration of the code, others keep losing their way back because the significant door that can bring them back keeps disappearing. As shown in the show, Daniel manages to change code to such an extent that the simulation reads that the code has been corrupted and begins deleting the simulation itself. What a genius! Does Maura finally discover the truth? Moving along, in the end, Henry reveals to Maura that she was the one who created the simulation along with her husband Daniel. He also tells us that she wouldn't have to bother remembering any of it because he'll make sure that Maura never exits the loop and stays in it forever. He injects her and then uses the key, but to his disappointment, nothing happens. We already know how Daniel changed the code. As per the show, he altered the code so Maura woke up in the first version of the simulation that they made, and Daniel made a new override and made Maura's engagement ring the key. Daniel also tells Maura that her brother Kieran is the one who's controlling the simulation, and her father, just like everybody else, is stuck in the loop. He also asks her to stop when she wakes up and says that he will be with her when she opens her eyes. As per the sources, when she wakes up, she finds herself connected to a machine along with all the others in a chamber. She approaches the console in the middle and sees a message from Kieran welcoming her back to reality, along with a description of Project Prometheus and the date, which is October 19th, 2099. Maura looks out of the window and realizes that she's on a spacecraft in outer space along with the others. Now that is some hard truth. How will she take this new reality?